just tell you right now, you're going to feel weird. You're going to feel like, who else is doing this? This isn't like natural. So if you're really looking to do it, I think the first thing that you have to keep in mind is you got to commit to it. Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome to the RJ Show, or Currington now, or the Untitled Business Podcast. We're working on a name, but my name's RJ Currington. I am a lawyer and entrepreneur of a multi-state law firm in Miami, Chicago, Northwest Indiana, and New York. And this podcast is about several things, mainly business and wellness, and how to grow a business and how to be successful in business and how to be mindful while you're doing so. So today's episode is about me. It's the first episode. It's about me, RJ Currington. Currington Law, how it started and what I used and how I managed and how I became successful, how I grew the firm to 6 figures in just a few years and how I expanded it to be successful in multiple markets. So let's get straight to it, right? So really how I started, that's the best way to begin, is how I started. And I really didn't have a lot. And in this podcast, we'll have steps, and I always over deliver. So I'm going to give you more than the number of steps that, you think I'm going to provide. But, I got started, and I really knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur and own my own firm, because I really just didn't enjoy working for someone, internships and things like that. I just didn't really like it, but that's just like a personal thing. But I was really motivated to do it in law school, in the clinic, business law clinic, that really gave me the steps on how to handle a file, because in law school, they really, really don't teach you how to be a lawyer, building business, things like that. They don't really teach you that. They teach you the substantive law, the rules, the cases, things like that. And those are good to know, but not really effective for being an actual lawyer. So the business law clinic was huge for that, because I got a feel for how to intake a client, how to manage a client, how to deliver results, and how to bill, and how to even market, really. So during that time, I was like, really, it was like kind of during COVID, and people were giving their reports to the supervisor and professors, like, I'm going to go practice here after law school and when I pass the bar. And they were inquiring about what everyone was going to do. And I was like, I really don't know. Well, I do know it's to start my own business, but that was not what anyone else was wanting to do. And so I kind of felt like weird about it. And so really, I'll just tell you right now, you're going to feel weird. You're going to feel like, who else is doing this? This isn't like natural. Maybe I should just go into a law firm for just a few years and just do it. And, that would honestly be fine. But for me, it just wasn't. And so if you're really looking to do it, I think the first thing that you have to keep in mind is you got to commit to it, because right after law school and during the bar, I was kind of like, what am I going to, am I actually going to jump into this? And the moment I committed is when things started to get serious. But when I was like dabbling around, I just didn't really have any momentum. Like I said, during the pandemic, so people really weren't hiring. And especially with me, I wasn't like the top of my class, but I just didn't get anything. I would get like kind of some leads, but then it was like, hey, sorry, we're not hiring. I will keep your resume. And I was like, hey, keep the resume. I'm going all in for my law practice. And so I did it, and I haven't looked back. And today I'm just going to talk with you about how to get started. What are some of the things you need, and just tips on how to be successful. So to start, I kind of talked about the business plan, how I made it during law school. Definitely make a business plan. Number one, have a business plan, how you're going to run the business, where you're going to market to. You have some niche markets. You can't really be a jack of all trades here. You can try, But being a jack of all trades is just being like a jack, you know. I don't know what jack is, but seriously, you're not gonna you're gonna have diverted attention. You're not gonna be focused, and you're gonna try to take on a lot of cases. And, you know, it's just not ideal. Pick a niche and focus on that niche hard. Study it. Have the business plan first. And then it's time to kind of execute and figure out where you're going to have funding. Like I was blessed enough to be an entrepreneur to start without really, struggling. But there are a lot of programs that are out there that can help you start off. You know, some of the law schools have clinics that can help you build, and especially as a startup. And so utilize those resources, SBA loans, things like that. You can have capital starting off, and you really don't need much nowadays, you know, with a virtual office firm. So definitely in the business plan, have expenses allocated towards the startup costs, because the first year you're going to have overhead, and you want to make sure that that overhead is as low as possible so that you can swim and not sink during your first year. Because honestly, the numbers are true, you know, with the business owners that survive the first year and those that don't. It's a very low percentage that survive after the first year. And this really is about how to survive and how to be that small percentage that survives the test of time. All right. So the second thing, once you get a plan in place, is to start executing the plan. All right. So, get licensed, get your law degree, get your bar exam pass, and depending on the jurisdiction, it's time to form the LLC. I recommend an LLC, if you're going with partners, an LLP, limited liability partnership, but I did a limited liability company. I was a single member, and, I just went at it that way. We'll have another segment about taxes and how to structure your entity with the tax structure in place to make sure you're benefiting. But an LLC is probably good enough when you're starting off. Some states require a PLLC for the law firm, professional limited liability company. And those are really similar to the LLC. It's just that you're a professional business, professional service. Right? I know Florida, New York, those are ones that require the PLLC designation. So keep that in mind. And then, you can start your business. When you're filing your articles of organization, you'll need your registered agent who's in the state. That's someone who just receives the mail. And then you have to have your headquarters, which is designated in that state. So you can have a virtual office or a brick and mortar location. You can even use your house. So I like the virtual office structure. That just is where, you get your mail. You can use the office space. There are a lot of those in the major cities, maybe not that many in like rural towns, depending on where you're listening from. But go ahead and set that up so you can have a professional office. I recommend that, have a professional office address, but the myth that you have to be in a physical location, you don't have to. That lease can really hurt your overhead costs and get you over where you need to be or where you want to be. All right. So with that, then you'll need to have your members, of course, yourself as a member. And that's it. I mean, you can do it like literally online. You can mail it in too, but online is perfectly fine. I know that's what I did for the Illinois firm. And then we got started all set and ready to go. There was the EIN number that made me a taxpayer. It takes paying entity. And then after that, it was opening the accounts, opening a bank account. Any trustworthy bank is fine. A big name bank is perfectly fine. So the next step after that, because now you're official, you're a business. All right, start getting it out there, start letting people know that you're a lawyer, that you have your law firm, and that you have this practice area. Market it on LinkedIn, market it on Instagram, market it on TikTok. I don't care, put it everywhere. Let everyone know what you're doing, because, hey, how else are they going to know? You can't just assume like, hey, I passed the bar exam. I had my Instagram post saying that I passed the bar exam or I graduated. All right. That's awesome. Congratulations. But you have to have another post that says, hey, look at me now. I am a lawyer that has their own practice and I do this. And with that, start posting things, start posting what you learned about the practice. Cause I really, really recommend like learning, the practice area, that niche that I told you about in the business plan. Just have that niche ready to go and be like a, I don't like the word expert because you get in trouble with that with the ethics, but just having a specialty and just being someone that is very knowledgeable about it, and it just shows credibility. Post it, let people know, and then while you're doing that, you're also learning about your craft. You're learning about the thing that you're going to be doing for most of your day. And so you'll be easily able to discuss it, to talk about it with clients, with that in mind too, as you're marketing yourself, build a community and be a part of communities. There's the ABA, American Bar Association, Chicago Bar Association. If you're in Chicago, the Wyoming Bar Association, whatever state you're in, there's a association for you. There's a real estate bar association. There's whatever law practice area that you're in, there's a committee for it. So join it, learn about it, network with other attorneys, have mentors. And, with that in mind, when you have mentors, you want to meet as many people as possible, but you want to be very selective, because if you're just meeting everyone willy-nilly, then it's kind of going to divert your attention when it should be on generating business, which leads to the next point. How are you going to generate business? Okay, you've started the business. How are we going to generate business? And before even generating business, you got to have systems. Okay, so particularly for law firms, you want to have those legal practice management softwares in place. I use Clio, Bro, love Clio, and it's fantastic. It helps track my cases and my transactional deals, and it also assists with client intake. It makes it easy. It has a CRM, a customer management software. So you really will want that to have structure in their business, like how things go. My forms are there, my engagement letters, I send those out. Those are signed automatically. So you want to have that in place. Practice Panther is something that I've heard a lot about. There are a plethora of different legal practice software, legal practice management software out there. So with that, you'll also want to have legal research tools if you do legal research. Okay. I'll tell you a story. One of the things I did that was wrong, but was a learning experience, was I had, a legal software for research, one of the Lexis, Westlaw, whatever. And those softwares, it wasn't needed because I wasn't like doing research on cases. I wasn't going to court. So why did I need it? So I was locked into like a $200, $300 a month software that I was not using, whatever. And it locked me in for like a year and a half. And I was asking every month, is there a way for me to get out of it? And they were like, look at the contract, look at the contract. And I was like, okay. And so that was one that I could negotiate out of. And that was, pretty frustrating from the get-go. But anyway, so, if you need it, then get it, use it and utilize it. Maybe even if I had maybe split it with someone, that would have been good too. And sometimes, if you're coming right out of law school, you'll have that capability to use I think a couple months or a year after to use what you had in law school. So I would just say do that. And see, what forms you need or forms that you need to get from it and use those. What other software do you need? I mean, that's really a DocuSign, electronic signatures, and the calendar system to manage your meetings. Calendly is really good. And then your website. How could I forget a website? The website honestly should be before you form the business. I mean, get your website started. I was working on my website when in law school, a little bit afterwards, but like in law school, I was like just playing around with what it would look like and getting the logo on business cards and all of those things in line. Just like how I wanted to show up. And that was part of the business plan as well. But I had the logo. I was like, in law school, I can remember just like practicing what the logo would look like. Like I was just so like not into it. I was like ready to graduate. This was the last year. But that was it. It was just like a sort of like a visualization. I really visualized my law firm in law school. I visualized where I'm at now. And that's another point that, we'll have another segment about, but how visualization can really help you in business. I'm a sports guy. I played sports in college, and visualization was huge to visualize success and to visualize winning games and playing well. The same thing applies in business. You want to visualize success. You want to visualize what your goals and dreams are and achieving them, feeling that emotion for achieving what you want to do. And that's to have a successful practice. So you have all your software, you're set up as a business, it's time to market. It's time to market. So that leads me to the fourth. I think we're at 4 right now. Market here. Okay. Go to the networking events. And be particular. Like, don't go to networking events to party, to drink, or to whatever. I suggest not even drink, when you're there. I mean, get over whatever social anxiety you may have. Kind of come to terms. This is like at the beginning where I was like, commit to being a business owner or a law firm owner. You got to commit to it. And, you want to be serious. You want to be professional. You're going to be younger, depending on when you start at a law school, but you're going to be new. Whether you're young or just new, you're going to want to be professional. You don't have like a lot of experience. And so the last thing you want is for someone to think like, oh, this person is just like, they're young, I can't really utilize them. Because they're not as experienced. You don't want that to be like your excuse. Like, yes, I'm experienced, but I'm extremely professional. I have these systems in play. I can serve you just like any other firm. So, when you're marketing, going to networking events, be professional, be fun, be personable, of course, but you're going into it with that feeling of, I'm a professional. I'm here to conduct business. I'm here to market my law firm. I'm here to grow my law firm. And if you have that in mind, you'll be fine in whatever event that you go to, but find those networking events and make sure that they kind of tie in with what you're doing. Like, yes, you want to just meet people at the outset, just meet as many people, but time is current. And so you want to make sure you're utilizing your time and going to events that move the needle, whether it's an estate planning council event with the committee, meeting people in that realm. If you're in family law, go to that. If you're in criminal law, go to some of the whatever correlates with criminal law. Okay. So go to those things. And in philanthropy, I mean, that's another way to kind of get out there, is just to be a part of these groups, be a part of these associations and these business networking groups, something that separates you from others. Maybe ones that don't have attorneys, you'll be able to be the attorney for the group. BNI, that's another one. Business International, Business Networking International. It's a great place to get started. It's just a networking group that is designated to provide referrals. And when you're marketing, just be careful with the ethics. Don't promise results that you don't have yet. Don't say that you just want a $1 million settlement when you didn't. It's not good. It's misleading, and it's to get you in trouble. If you're an LLC, the name of your LLC should be, it shouldn't mislead people to think that you're a huge group or a huge conglomerate when you're not. So just be careful with that. Another item of business here for marketing is to post on social. I mean, just get creative with social media and get it out there. I mean, follow, ask yourself like, hey, I can't believe I'm even doing a podcast at this point. I mean, this is kind of overdue, but like I was doing things like this, but now that I'm doing the first episode, I really am happy that I'm doing it and really wish I would have done it earlier. But hey, I never really recommend regretting. What I regret is not doing things, but I never really regret doing things. So just keep that in mind. You'll regret what you didn't do, not what you did do. All right. So Um, Then the last thing that I want to leave you with is the mentality. All right. The mentality of a business owner is what you have because you have everything. Okay. You have the organization, the structure, you have like how to market, how to get clients. Because once you start to get clients, they start rolling in. They start rolling in. I mean, I know when I started to get a few clients, I was like, this is all right. And then it just snowballed. And that really got the ball moving and ball rolling for me. And it grew my business in a year or two with doing the things that I'm telling you. But the mind, you have to be relentless. You have to persevere. It's not going to be easy. And you have to know that at the beginning, like, hey, this is going to take time. You won't see results the first year. I'm telling you, you probably will not see the results that you're looking for the first year unless you already had like a ton of clients or you have one mega client at the beginning. You're not going to see results like that quick. You're going to see it at year two. In my case, year three, I saw massive results. And that was when I locked in. Like I said, I had different things that I wanted to do. IP, business law at the beginning, entertainment law. But then I locked in on real estate law and I just committed to it. And now I've expanded to estate planning and business law. But I was like really, really strongly into all these other areas. And when I locked in, I saw results like faster than I was seeing before. And so lock in and just keep a positive mindset. Like, hey, you're getting a sales call or something like that, or you have a hot lead that seems great. It kind of stinks when you don't get it. I mean, when you lose out on it, it's like, it's demoralizing, but you have to keep on going. You can't give up. You cannot give up. And because honestly, the light is at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes, the graphic when you're like, when the person has the hammer and they're trying to get the gem, or the treasure chest of gold, and one gives up, and you see it in the outside view, and the treasure chest was like literally one more like dig away. And so it's the same for business. You have to keep on striking it. You have to keep on coming at it every single day with focus, with tenacity, and trusting the process. Because if you're doing things to move the needle, then it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And if you're listening to this and you're like kind of struggling and you're debating on even starting, or you've started and you're like, I kind of want to just go back into just the workforce and just see what it's like because I'm hurting with money. Don't do it. Stick with it. Stick with it for like another month, another 2, 3 months. Stick with it. Go harder. Go harder, or maybe even like step back at it and look at it from an outside view and say, what am I doing? Or like, what's working for me? What's not working? With business, you have to like constantly go back to the drawing board and see what's working, what isn't working, and attack it that way to make sure that you're doing the things that move the needle, right? Because it's not going to be easy. I wish it would. If it were, then everyone would do it. That holds true. If it were easy, everyone would do it. So, I'll leave you with that, but there's another thing. And it's like when you're taking on cases, you're going to want to take everything. Do not take everything. Okay. If there's a case or if there's a problem client that's just like annoying and it's like, this is actually not okay. Like do a I can't work for this person. Like, your time. Like, yes, it may be a learning experience, but you have to like really vet your clients, because it could take a lot of time that could be going towards the marketing, could be going towards getting good leads that are actually legit. So, do that. A lot of it's all going to be a learning experience, but you're going to want to manage the people. I mean, one of the great things about starting your law firm is that you get to take the cases that you want. And there are a lot of positives with it. So be mindful of the activities that you're doing, because really every activity is like you're getting paid by the minute, by the hour. Like, is this minute, is this hour of time that I'm dedicating toward this profitable? Is there a return on investment on it? All right. You have to think about those things. And when you're pricing, that's another thing that we can even talk about on another segment. But pricing, price affordably, at the beginning and learn, just use the time to learn, not necessarily to generate money because you're not going to make like a lot the first year. But you're going to learn a lot. And that's the key is like learning as much as you can and getting better. And at this point, I feel like I'm, more knowledgeable than I've ever been, obviously because of the experience. And so, I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks for listening. If you need any guidance on it, you know where to find me. And if you want more content like this and you want more advice on becoming an all-star business owner, law firm owner out of law school, like and subscribe and like and comment and comment more. And let's have a dialogue. Let's have a chat. I'm on social media at RJ Currington Esquire. You can follow the law firm as well, Currington Law LLC in Currington Law, Florida. And find me on LinkedIn. We can have a chat. Let's talk. Let's see how we can grow, how you can grow, and how you can be the best you can be. Signing off from Currington Now, the RJ Show, the Untitled Podcast. All right, this is number 1, and we're going to have more coming, so stay on the lookout for more. So excited to help you out. All right, and if there was more that you thought that you'd like to contribute, feel free to comment in the post here. So until the next time, go and win.